All right, welcome everybody. It is June the 15th. This is our, what is it? The 19th week meeting for Mandel. I think we got a big milestone to announce today. Maybe we won't go in order. Maybe I'll skip ahead. We won't bury the lead, and we'll start with the Mandel code strategy. But just quick refresher: we talked about platform support last week. We talked about the progress with Mandel 3.1 RC1. We talked about testing on Jungle and what needs to happen to get Kylan ready. Let's jump right into the Mandel code stuff. Sounds like we have some news to share there.
Yes. Why did I turn? So we were able to get over to Jungle 4 with Mandel release 3.1 RC1. But why didn't I turn it over to Matt Witherspoon or Kevin Hefner or Stephen Diesel or Bucky, some of the people that actually worked late into the evening to get it pushed across? If someone wants to kind of explain that. I know Arig was doing the last minute stuff on the release notes, but Arig's not on the call. So maybe if Kevin or Matt or Stephen, if one or Bucky, if one of you want to chime in to the last minute heroics that were going on. Not all at once, guys. Kevin, do you want to comment about what you saw happening at the very end? Or it looks like Matt and Stephen have come off microphone now. Any one of you?
Yeah, I mean, I think put simply, last night we tagged a release. It's ready for deployment for testing. I think at least some on Jungle have gone ahead and deployed it and started using it. Gosh, I don't know what else really to add to that other than, yeah, we're excited to go ahead and let people grab it and tell us how it's going.
Yeah, looking for feedback there, right? That, release notes, we've got pretty good coverage, but there's still a few to-dos, but expect that to be a document that evolves a little bit over the next day or so. But come at us with any questions you have so we can really make sure we're celebrating the things that we're releasing here.
Awesome. It's, what is
Kevin,
it, 3 years from the
to
activation? Nice,
4 years
nice.
to the date.
4 years. Wow. Time flies when you're having fun. Very cool. So 4 years ago, the chain is activated. Late last night, Mandel, the first independent EOSIO release, is now available and live on Jungle. I saw Matthew.
Yes. Late
last night. I see messages from him in our operations chat. Midnight last night and into 2 a.m. He was deploying. We were deployed by midnight last night and testing, and looks like everything's going well.
I think he even sent out a tweet.
I think they're trying to roll some of the code into some of the custom builds as well. So it's just I think Stan was sleeping. So hopefully we'll test it more on some of the other chains and merging it into the code bases. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, very good. So yeah, I guess the call to action now is, RC1 is out there. DPs, developers, grab it, try it, test it, upgrade yourselves on Jungle. And yeah, anything to add? All right. Exciting day. Last time we also talked about aligning on what consensus features to activate. It felt like we came to a pretty good conclusion that it's going to be basically all the new stuff, plus potentially this old one. Nope. Although it seemed there was not very much love for that one, maybe just a little bit.
We would leave that one unactivated as a relic of the past.
Okay, so it's just going to be these ones here. And so that's what we can start communicating. That's what's coming. We had a question here. It sounds like I saw there was some back and forth in the Mandel Telegram chat. a request for the 2.1 key value table. So this is not in 3.1 as far as I understand. And I think this is Brandon mentioned he'd appreciate an opportunity to chat and share the business case, but I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, is I don't think there's an opportunity at this point to change the 3.1, but perhaps for the next release.
Yeah, I'd say generally speaking, once we've cut in RC, we're not trying to introduce any new features from then on. That being said, happy to reach out to this person and kind of understand some of their needs as we look to the next release.
Cool.
We
okay.
do have Ross, would you be able to comment on that?
Yeah,
Ross is with Rewired One.
Yeah. So Brendan Interweb Coding, he's actually part of Rewired One. One of our customers is actually using that feature. I actually haven't been part of the conversation with them directly, specifically why they are using it. I just know that Brendan was chasing after if it's going to be on the roadmap. If you can't get hold of Brendan, I'm happy to set up the connection to understand exactly what it is that he's after.
Cool. So yeah, it looks like he's in our Mandel channel.
Yeah. So straight to him, it would be appreciated.
Cool.
Can you expand on that any in terms of, like, you say they're using it? Are they using it on a private chain? Obviously.
Yeah, it'll be private chain. Let me. I can get some detail, or I can bring him along next week if you like.
Sure. Yeah, he's absolutely welcome to join here.
Okay.
I got back to him a little late on, hey, join us here 5 minutes before we started. So, but maybe for next week we can get him on board.
Okay.
Pick his brain on the business value there.
Yeah. Excellent. Thanks.
Okay. Anything else as it was it when it comes to Mandel 3.1? All right. So we'll keep testing and see what comes out of testing and how we progress towards the final release. Anything to add? Anything new to report on the platform support stuff? Last, I guess the TLDR was we identified some new unit testing and debugging tools would be added.
So Bucky is on the call, and he knows the latest of what he did with RM, or I'm probably mispronouncing the guy's name.
So we kind of reached a conclusion there as to what we're going to do for that. And it looks like I think we got everything in this last release to kind of go ahead and start baking off some of those packages. So probably by the end of this week, then we'll be able to I'll be able to start pulling those packages in D.U.N.E and have support for unit testing. But there's also a nice little Easter egg in D.U.N.E if anybody wants to go try to find it. I was kind of excited about that last night.
Oh, okay. So a little extra incentive to try to test D.U.N.E and put it through his paces. Maybe you can find an Easter egg. Very cool. So you the debugging tools and unit tests will have something that people can start playing with. Sounds like relatively soon.
Yeah. Pretty much the availability there, like the utility for it is already there. It's just getting the packages that we need over to it. Once we have those by the end of the week, then we can kind of close the door on that one and move forward in life.
Excellent. Anything else to add on that topic? All right, moving on. We talked already a little bit about testing when we were talking about Mandel 3.1. I shared our update where we've got 3.1 live on Jungle 4. So far, so good. How is everyone else doing in terms of now that we've got 3.1 out? We got some volunteers here to
yeah, we're running
upgrade.
It as well.
Awesome.
We're running on a Jungle as of 3 hours ago.
Excellent.
Haven't built it yet, but gonna start picking it back up and tackling it. figured I'd wait on the RC.
And Bucky, do we have an ETA or for the CDTs to be upgraded? Because that would require the VPs to coordinate and deploy, right?
Yeah. So I think right now the goal is to either get that released tomorrow or Friday. Everything's done for it. In the release notes is pretty Spartan, so there's not really a whole lot that needs to be done there.
Awesome. So Daniel, you might want to mark that. That would be one of the next concrete steps that would require coordination.
Sorry, say that again.
The CDT to be upgraded, which requires the VPs to coordinate and deploy. Or I guess maybe on Jungle, maybe just Bodan can do it, or Crypto Alliance can do it. I'm not sure, but that should be an item to add.
Anyone on the line here know whether that's something that I see we got some representatives from Crypto Alliance on the call. Is that something that you have God mode capabilities to do on your own, or do we need to coordinate?
Unfortunately, I don't know. I will ask Bodan about this.
Okay, great.
I know I just saw some conversation about, I think we had just gotten an MSIG approved. And then now that we're going to roll to 3.1, it can be a protocol feature, something about the intrinsics or cryptography, whatever. I don't know. But
that was, yeah.
Anyway, point is it sounds like there's going to be some coordination once probably more of the VPs can confirm their 3.1. Then we can start activating protocols, maybe even push CDT latest. I don't know what the version of it. But that's next steps. And now that we've got some code and lines in the sand, we can start activating. Sounds like a protocol. Then I don't know. Do we need contracts?
Yeah, so that's what Bucky is saying. Those should be ready in a few days. And so it's Matthias that had put a system contract update, and that was, he deployed, or I guess he started the MSIG on the 6th, maybe, and then it, or something like that, on the 14th. Yeah, so he asked Bodan to do that on the 6th. Bodan did and created the MSIG on the 14th.
He threw it up as an MSIG. Yeah, he threw it up as an MSIG for all of us to approve. And I remember looking at the approval list, and I like turtles and whatnot wasn't active. I don't remember. Yeah.
What I'm saying is it is Crypto Alliance that needs to deploy for approval, or it seems like it.
No, he just made the MSIG and then posted the link that made it easier for everybody to approve it. But I mean, they obviously have God mode, but if you go through the normal approval channels, I think it's been
that'll work too
through VPs 15 and 21. So they can do whatever.
The reason why I'm bringing it up is it took about a week. No, I don't think so either. So the reason why I'm bringing it up is it took about a week. If we could try to do it a little bit faster this time, that'd be great. And it should be possible, seeing as a lot of people just went through the process the other day. So if we keep the momentum, it should be possible to do it faster this time.
Through the VPs, not through EOSIO, yeah.
On potentially Crypto Alliance as well, if they have a part to play. Or Nation, if you guys have a part to play to deploy and propose that MSIG. I guess Denis on the call, you'd be able to comment.
Denis, anything to comment on that?
Yeah, just for the Jungle 4, they don't have God mode. It is like a 15 out of 21. That's why the MSIG was submitted. Okay. But on Jungle 3, it is like, single key permission. So that's why the MSIG was submitted.
So
I thought, for some reason, I think it's pretty close. That Crypto Alliance still had the owner key, so they could just do it, but we just go through the VPs for active.
Yeah, let me just look again. But last time I looked, they didn't have that one key. So let me just confirm. But
all that being said, if we could, once it's deployed, if we could have a short delay between deploying and pushing it, that'd be awesome.
I think that all of that will require us to majority be on 3.1 though, correct? I mean, we probably need to confirm we're all on the latest code base, or at least 15 of 21. I guess start activating protocols and deploying those MSIGs. But yeah, maybe we just get a task list together and circle the wagons on all the Jungle VPs so we can make sure to bang it through, just like it did yesterday, whenever it was.
So we need to, first step is some threshold number of BPs need to be upgraded to 3.1. Do we know what that is? Does that have to be
50,
all of them, or
15 of 21, right? So when we activate the protocol, it doesn't break the chain again.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, obviously the gurus are on here, but I'd assume we have to have that code base before we can do the rest of it.
Yeah, so the MSIG is 15 out of 20 and also jungle. So they do have a 1 out of 1 key.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was looking at the EOSIO prods, but yeah, the EOSIO account has both prods and the jungle account as 1 out of 1. So
okay,
the 15 out of 21 was more of the MSIG was more about a symbolic
formality. Yeah.
symbolic value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I would say is we do need to make sure we're all at least 15 to 21 so we don't break and fork the chain. But I don't know, Yves, do you want to lean on Sea Lions to try to shotgun it with owner, or do you
no? Because then if the 15 and 21 aren't updated, the chain's going to stop.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we can confirm that beforehand, the two sides of it. I mean, there's activations, and then there's going to be contracts and stuff like that.
I mean,
if you want to do it the right way,
responsive. But the VPs were quite responsive, right? To actually get the M6 signed took less than 2 days, I think.
That's why I say if we just.
So what I'm saying is there's momentum right now. If we just say, hey, by the way, this is coming out, just stay on standby. In the meantime, please update to RC1. People could start doing that over the next couple of days.
Great. Would you say the 3 tasks, we lean on them and say, get to RC1, then we'll activate the protocol, which would fork everybody out if not. Then we can deploy the contracts. Anything else that needs to fall into that line?
Do we need to do that second stage?
The protocol? I mean, that's Matthias's question. I mean, you're gonna have to activate a protocol with the MSIG, so throw it into the mix, right? Maybe not. I mean, if you got the momentum. So that it's replacing the MSIG that Matthias did. He canceled it, and now he's waiting on the protocol activation from 3.1,
which has that in there. Yes.
So we would need to MSIG the protocol activation as soon as we all went to 3.1, and then at the same time can MSIG the contract update as well. Just like you're saying, once you get that cats herded, we'll loop all 3 of them together. Those are the 3 things we're going to try to knock out.
I guess what I'm wondering is which. We're not activating any features other than the one that Matthias asked for, correct?
That one, and that's going to be an MSIG as well, right? As soon as we go.
That would be after deployment of the next CBT. No.
Oh, is it?
I think on the we to discuss running it without activating any features for upgrade. Run it for a while without
EVM
upgrading
thing
anything.
Is separate because EVM is running on jungle, so that's separate. So I'm not talking about the other RC1. Features that we would activate in a month or so for the consensus upgrade preparation of September. I'm not talking about those, but the EVM is separate for that. Because EVM
so 2 of them right now, and just roll any of the protocols later. That's perfect. That's what I was asking. Do you roll them together?
The order of things, somebody more technical should make that decision or speak up and say what should be the order.
That's why I say if we can just provide that list, a punch list, I'm sure.
It has to be obviously the majority of people need to upgrade to RC1 in general. We should just make that push regardless, because that was regardless of CDT, regardless of EVM. That's the first step. And then whether it has to be CDT first, and then wouldn't we want to do CDT first and then activate the Bucky or somebody? Can you chime in maybe?
Yeah, so we would want to have like the CDT upgrade version out so that we could.
So we need to release. That's not out yet, right?
It's kind of a soft thing there, right? Like it's best to have that out so that whenever we have that out, we can go ahead and update we can go ahead and do the protocol feature, and we immediately have the support there to compile the EVM stuff. Not have to have people use custom versions of things off in the weeds.
So we deploy CDT first and then, is that the idea? Or are you suggesting the opposite?
Well, it doesn't really matter which way you go. Like, so there's the MSIG for the protocol feature activation. And then there's like the setting of the EVM stuff to kind of make sure all that works. That right there, like the setting of the EVM part, that is blocked by the CDT one. So we could go ahead and do the upgrade to 3.1 RC and kind of cluster into that one, the upgrade or the protocol feature activation for the crypto functions. And it'd not be a problem. I would say that it would probably be best to kind of have a little bit of span in between that, so that if we have any bugs there, they're actually found before we deploy this to the regular mainnet.
Of course.
Well, I mean, like a week, we can definitely line them out, or 2 weeks if we wanted to. But so I say, if we can give the participating VPs kind of a punch list of the order and timeframes, oh yeah, we can definitely crank them out. And if not, Bodan can bust up with God mode.
Cool. So do we know what we need to, or have who we need to make that list now, or do we want to do that offline? Or is this pretty much the list?
You got a lot of the big brains on this call. That's what you got, the devs, you got some VPs. I would think now might be a good time.
Now's probably a good time.
So the list there is the 15 and 21 VPs. And I to be honest, I would say it's more than, I mean, technically it's the 15 out of 21, but really you would want them all so that you don't wind up with
we've bricked the chain before. We consider 15 the bare minimum.
Okay. Yeah. So then the next thing right after that would be MSIG to activate EVM features.
Okay, so activate the protocol, because we have everything we need. Would you wait between?
Yeah, so there would be a waiting period between the 15 to 21 VPs upgrade to 3.1, and just kind of doing the regular.
Just for testing.
Yeah.
Well, that's where we're at right now. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe that is the catalyst that once, I mean, Matthew's testing it, Ross is testing it, I'll be testing it. We'll get a lot of real world testing.
Yeah.
But maybe it's once we do hit 15. Otherwise, we're just going to keep waiting. So maybe it's once we get 15, or fine, call it 21 of 21. That's when we try to schedule for the protocol activation, but not get 15 of 21 or 21 of 21 and then wait another 2 weeks. Otherwise, you're just thrown. I'm down for whatever.
Does anyone have any?
Yeah, I was going to say, I would say that we would probably want like some kind of objective deadline there of, so that way if people are still floating off in the weeds on the 15 out of 21, that this activation is coming, they need to move and go ahead and get over kind of thing. But
is there a minimum period of time we want to have this tested without any features activated? And whether it's a week or 2 weeks or a few days? What would be a long enough period to make us comfortable that we've sufficiently tested prior to activating and introducing any possible other bugs?
I mean, I would say a week is probably the minimum there that we would want to kind of hold that for. And I think going anything over 2 weeks is probably starting to get fairly weighty in terms of how much time between these things. Because once we've kind of gotten to that point, really the rest of the testing is going to kind of go in pretty quickly. So
what if we treat this meeting next week as a go no go for activating the first EVM feature? Would that, or do we need a week from the time we have 15, or is it a week from the time we have 1 or 2?
Right, just a week from people using 3.1 RC, because as long as those nodes are in the network, we're going to basically know.
And it's Matthew. He's watching everything. I mean, he'll break all sorts of stuff. So that's why I say that. Within a week.
I think that suggestion is good. Next Wednesday, go no go. That would be a week, and by then, ideally, we have the majority of the VPs as well. So from now till then, we should encourage everybody to deploy 3.1 RC1.
Yeah.
So that means 1 week, that goes to next week. Then we activate the protocol for a week, see how that goes. They can't really do much with it till they get the CDT.
Yeah.
Is 2 weeks the release timeline maybe for that? That might work.
I would not wait a week between EVM features and release of CDT. Not in this case.
A protocol activation, you wouldn't ride the protocol forking activation for a week just to see before you update the system contract? I'm down for back-to-back if you want.
I'm okay with it, but maybe Bucky can chime in.
It's jungle. Why not, right, baby?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine with either way you go there. I think we're going to catch the majority of bugs. Like it's kind of one of those things. We're going to catch whatever we're going to find. I think once we have it activated, right? Like things are going to be going through that code path no matter what at that point. So if we kind of move forward with the rest of it, and it's still not, we're still going to find those problems that we've had before. Like no matter what.
In theory, we've already pulled the ripcord. Therefore, just keep going. Makes sense. I mean, so maybe at that same time, you do the protocol activation and the CDT would be ready to deploy. That's in a week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that like one MSIG to do both, or two separate MSIGs, one after the
CDT
other?
One, so like the CDT one, that was not going to be an MSIG. That was just basically they have the binary packages there to compile the system contract, because that's going to be the next thing that we have to do is effectively update. So the last part there is So then the last one after that, after the deploy CDT, is MSIG to update system contract. And really
using the new CDT, correct? Yeah, they are separate. Yeah.
So we should confirm the deploy of CDT to Jungle. We should already start talking to crypto lines to prepare them for that. The CDT will be out in a few days, and so they would start being able to look at it because that's what Jungle crypto lines would do, right? So we would need to inform them in 2 or 3 days when it's out. Here's the thing: start looking at it to deploy it next Wednesday, Thursday.
And can they do that at any time? They don't have to wait for the activation of the EVM features or any of that stuff. They can go as soon as they're ready.
Yeah, that can happen currently.
And that's actually more release CDT to the wild.
Right.
More so than deploying anything to Jungle yet.
Okay. I'll go back to release. And crypto lines. So the crypto lines actually need to do something with
they would get the CDT, they would kind of review the code, they would get it ready to push out as an MSIG to be accepted by the block producer, or reviewed and accepted by the block producers and applied. So they can get a head start on it as soon as CDT is available. But it sounds like maybe next week, if all goes well with testing of the code, next week we would activate the EVM protocol, and assuming Crypto Lines has CDT, reviews it all as well, and is ready to propose, maybe even tag that system contract MSIG relatively close behind it.
Correct.
Then you can let them take off. So potentially end of next week, best case scenario.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday.
And if you lean on the BPs and give them some dates, we have.
Yeah, so I would add dates in here. Add dates in here, Daniel, just to give a sense, and they can just be approximate dates.
That's what I'm trying to kind of get a bearing, time frame wise, order, and then let's give it to them. And Ross is going to be doing it a day ahead of us, but yeah, we can all.
Damn right. There's not many independent BPs actually running in the 21 at the moment. I think there's like 14 of them are Happy Hippo and Dancing. And
exactly.
Whatever,
Yeah, it shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah.
And they're all relatively well engaged. We got them all, they all are running on this new Jungle testnet. And here's basically the list. Do we agree we want this this will basically be the same day, June 22nd, right? We're going to have go, no go, assuming it's a go. We're going to propose the MSIG on the 22nd.
Yeah.
That's a week from today.
Your first bullet point, the where it says ideally more, maybe you want to put the date range from June 15th today to June 21st. All right, so within the next week. And then the second bullet point, you want to put, Bucky says maybe on the 17th, give or take, so 17th to 20th, or 17th to 21st, somewhere in that range. And then June 22nd, June 22nd, and maybe then June 23rd, 24th.
Yeah, let's say assume there's a bug in either the EVM or the system contracts.
Oh, well, then
it's going to be easier, I guess, to identify the root cause if it's in the EVM. If we do them both at the same time, is it going to be more difficult to identify what is causing the problems? I'm assuming so. There's value in some gap, or
I mean, we can run the protocol. We'll be running the code and the protocol inactivated, but I don't think they can really use the new protocol until the new CDT and all that.
Okay. So we're not going to know if there's any bugs in the EVM until this is
activated. I think what Bucky was saying is you'll know pretty quick. Once you flip that switch, I mean, it's all going to be running through. Old nodes will fork out. Hey, if it doesn't go kaboom very quickly, then
23rd, 24th.
Yeah.
So, and it's more so just for logistical, like giving time to somebody needs to deploy, somebody needs to prepare the MSIG, you need to accumulate signatures. That's why I'm putting a date range type of it.
I agree.
Yeah.
But that's doable and impressive.
Maybe this is 22 to 23.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that would be coming up next? We need to be thinking about now.
I would. If we can take this, Daniel, if you can make a short Telegram post in Jungle so that people see, hey, here's kind of the lineup of work for the next week. If we could do that today, that gives them, and then tag the people so that they start the process of upgrading to 3.1.
Yeah. Okay, that's going to be me.
This is just Jungle right now, right? I mean, we're not talking about Kylan just yet.
Jungle right now. Kylan will be the next topic.
Perfect.
But I think we'll start by upgrading Jungle, and Kylan will be more our staging, I guess. This is like our testing. Kylan is staging before production. It's kind of how I see it. So we do all the testing, all we need, figure it out. I think once we're happy with what we have on Jungle, then we move on to Kylan.
Yes, although there's some logistics we're taking care of beforehand. That's one of the reasons I asked. But yeah, that's why I'll wait until the bullet point.
Cool. Okay. Anything else for before we move on to the Kylan discussion as it pertains to Jungle testing? Okay, so that's a good segue to Kylan. I had a chat with my team about this. We talked about what we could do to maybe expedite so there's a bunch of stuff that needs to happen to make Kylan ready for testing. Would be quite a bit of coordinating, power up, binary updates, feature activation, make sure it's matching. What we could do is propose an MSIG to give EOS Nation God mode. And then we can expedite some of that stuff. I don't know if Denis or anyone else
at least
wants to speak to that.
Even a shortened MSIG approval. Yeah. Prods or at light or something, but absolutely. And I know Denis and I think the 42.
Did we lose Denis?
Those are always the two that started complaining that Kylan didn't match or Jungle didn't match, right? They probably have as good a bearing on all the different settings to check.
It could be a short list, like you were saying, Michael, and it could be, whoever is interested in participating, then that can be the short list. It will most likely be a short list. But yeah, like 3 or 4 people or something. But if there's more, we can definitely make a short list on Kylan.
Well, if you get to 15, I mean, if you get more than about 8, that's all of us VPs running Kylan anyways. So
it should be very short, because if not,
I
it will
say
defeat
2.
the purpose.
2 if you really
it needs to be the people that are
else.
always monitoring.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
2, maybe 3 max, in my opinion. But
so, is there anyone besides EOS Nation who wants to be on the list? Michael, for example, do you want to be on that list, or?
I'll be happy to be on it. Obviously, I'm not the code guru. Like, I'm not Stan, but happy to. I'm paying attention and have a decent bearing. But so, yes, just to keep somebody from going willy-nilly, by all means.
Sure. Denny, any thoughts on your side or anyone else? And what's the timing here? Can we just I guess something we want to also do this week so we can start preparing?
In my opinion, I do think you at least want to try to get the ball rolling to try to get things in line. Maybe we don't push through, but we can at least say, all right, we're done, we're ready, the blocks are getting signed. Whenever Kylan's next bullet point's ready, we just pull the trigger. Because it's going to be a lot of the same people that are doing jungle.
Yeah.
Just as a newcomer asking a question and maybe looking like a fool, is Kylan's update something that we consider to be a release blocker for this eventual process of releasing this next version? I was just kind of curious about where we see Kylan fitting in today versus future, and just kind of what those steps are.
In the future, I think it sounds like we may have a ENF testnet. Perhaps. I don't know how confident we are in there, but I think that's the ultimate goal. Is Kylan sort of represents the stable testnet for developers to test their smart contracts, things like that. So it should match basically the conditions on mainnet. And we typically, the way that it worked was jungle is sort of the, test new things, break stuff.
We beat on it. Yeah, I mean, we will break it from an infrastructure level. We brick the chain, we poisoned it. We intentionally try to stress test, jack the congestion through the limit. But obviously, you can't test good apps on that platform. Although Kylan has been somewhat neglected because it was just kind of when we need it, we bring it up to speed.
Right.
It's kind of the test net for dev.
So that's a place to test your smart contracts and things like, so that for the developers to be able to know what to expect when we deploy on mainnet, make sure the smart contracts are working as expected. In the future, that will likely be replaced by an ENF testnet, but that won't be ready between now and the launch of Mandel.
Right, that makes sense. So it is effectively like a staging environment in some sense, and we do consider these updates to be part of the critical path to eventually releasing.
I would say so. I think we need a stable place but maybe someone else can.
If all we had was jungle for the next 3 months, that would be suitable. So historically, Stephen, we've had both, and so we're looking at going back to having both. So that's the discussion that was just had with having Kylan God mode so that we can kind of control both test nets, ensure that one is more Wild West and the other one is more stable. But if we only had the Wild West, that would still be suitable to be able to determine whether or not we're ready to deploy on the mainnet.
We can get jungle to a stable state.
Yeah, we don't need to try and break jungle, right? Because it's not a requirement. It's just a nice to have that historically has been great because it's highlighted very edge cases, which we want to potentially highlight.
There was something
I would say that not having Kylan is not a showstopper. But either way, that's likely not a reality because we will have Kylan prior to. Now we're talking about specifically, let's say September 23rd consensus upgrade. Because this is the only one that really requires that, whereas BP's updating to 3.1 on the mainnet is different because they do that on their own. If they take some time to do that, they roll in one after another. That would be based on the data that we gather from jungle and or Kylan and or both, etc.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's all very helpful. Thanks for the clarification. Yeah, I was just trying to make sure I had the sequence of events together, but that's good stuff. Thanks.
Cool. So in order to change, let's say we're going to make it rather than a God mode, just one of one, we can make it 2 or 3. That would require an MSIG. Is that right? Propose an MSIG on Kylan to change the permissions so that there's just requires 2 or 1.
Correct.
Is that right?
Either create a permission and assign it to that or whatever, but yeah.
So we need to identify, before we can propose that MSIG, we need to identify who are those people on that, or do we just need to know the number, whether it's a 2 or a 3 or a 1?
If you're going to propose the MSIG, I'd say you build the permission, create the permission, build the permission, and then assign the permission over. So you probably want all the information.
Okay.
But I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. Who are the 2 or 3? And then we're taking over EOSIO, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So update Kylan permissions. How do I describe this? To give authority to with. Do we have a number 2, 3? Do we have? It sounds like Michael wants in.
I'll be a number 2.
EOS Nation wants in. Do we have a number 3 on the line?
I'll be number 3. Who wants to be number 2?
Maybe it is just 2.
God, you're in rough shape.
It doesn't really matter. I would say either or. If you're intentionally going to be breaking something, we know who you are. Don't do it.
I think the idea is just to have a little bit
of accelerate the process. It's less so to put sticks in the wheels.
Yeah. So, Denis, do you have what you need to be able to propose that MSIG?
Yeah, just if we're 2 or if we're 3, whatever that list is, I just need that list first. And then we can go from there. So that's the only thing I need.
Sounds like the only volunteers we have is Nation and USA. So maybe we can check. Stan's not online, is he? Sounded like there's maybe he's a potential candidate.
I'd love it, but God knows that man doesn't have enough hours in the day. But
right. So I'm happy with that. Just 2 of us, and there we go.
We can do that. Yeah, we can start with that, and then
we can always add more if we wanted to, because we'll have very easy permissions. We can add whoever we want, just the 2 of us. Okay. Did I describe that correct? I don't think so. Update client permission with EOS USA and EOS Nation. How do I describe that properly? Authority.
Update Kylan EOSIO permission, because we're going to take over EOSIO with MSIG, including EOS USA and I don't know. MSIG is what we would be issuing, but it's a permission, I guess.
Yeah, and we're EOS USA and EOS Nation have the authority, or what's the technical term? That's escaping me here.
I mean, equal weight, a weight of 2, and we each have a weight of 1. I don't know. I think of the technical side of it, but point is, I think we're going to take over EOSIO with those VPs.
Yeah, these VPs will have we need both of us, right? Mm-hmm. To do anything. Okay. Let's do that. Okay, so that covers Kylan. What else?
And Dennis, I mean, are you comfortable with a lot of those settings, and who's going to review the differences between the 2 and start kind of getting the M6 together?
Yeah, so I can submit the M6. The issue is just we get someone to review, and I think Jungle went through it. We just need to kind of get the list of what's missing, and then I can submit the M6. As long as we kind of know what the roadmap is for the MSIG paths, I can submit them.
Yeah, make it match EOS and
exactly
drop it to the new prods light or whatever.
Or the prods light will be the first one, and then they'll do the next steps after.
Correct. Stupid logic.
Cool. Anything else? That was all the agenda items I had for today. Are there any other items to discuss? All right, so we'll see you all in a week for the go no go for activating EVM protocol features on Jungle 4. Happy testing.
Yeah, one last thing. Great job, guys. I mean, it's exciting to be able to say we're making progress. They ask me all the time, and I'm like, you may not see it yet, but every week we have positive progress, new code base, new features, new discussions about upcoming roadmaps. So exciting, guys. Thanks for everything, y'all. I know y'all are all working hard.
Yeah. Awesome job, everyone. Awesome. Big milestone with the Mandel 3.1 RC1 out now. Yeah, good day.
Great teamwork, great community.
Yeah, congratulations. Thanks, guys.
Congratulations.
Congrats, everyone. Yeah.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Go EOS.
Go EOS.
Oh,
Go EOS.